Hi, this is Austin Parsons, Pitmaster with Smoky Mountain Q in Nashville, Tennessee, and you are listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
Boing. We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me!
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead and he's in the crackle.
Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude!
Succulent fish! What?
He ate 54 wieners.
But listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
And just like that, we are into the second hour. It is the Barbecue Central Show, where we talk about all things that are important to the world of barbecue and grilling. This show takes place live every Tuesday night from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern. Hour number 1 will go into the podcast feed tomorrow. That's Wednesday. Hour number 2 will show up Thursday. We'll talk about Friday here in a second. Barbecue Central Show comes to you live and direct from
Palm City, USA, Cleveland.
Still to come on the show tonight, Mike McLeod, World Food Championships, tying up the show at the end, Austin Dennis of I Cook, You Look. We say good evening to those of you watching tonight through one of our video streaming platforms. You can go to facebook.com/BBQ Central Show. You can also go to twitter.com/BBQ Central Show, or you can watch on YouTube, which is youtube.com/@BBQ Central Show, where we have a YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody. Have you ever been to the World Food Championships? Currently, 89% of you are saying no, and that is a travesty. 11% of you are saying yes, as we are reaching the vote limit that we usually run to. Can pretty much guarantee that my guest in the next segment has been to not only one of them, but all of them. But we'll see what Austin Dennis has to say as he closes out the show. Coming up on the best moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less. Episode 363, December 10th, 2013, being featured this week is a longtime friend of the show, one of the best guys in general, not only in live fire, but cooking and life. Barbecue Bob Trudnak, Bobby T. In this segment, we talked about his 2013 competition season, and we also talked about the World Food Championships of 2013, which it was in its sophomore season at that time. Bob won the ribs category that year, and we talked all about that as well. Interestingly enough, during John's talk out of this week's show, he mentioned that Bob Trudnak is one of, if not the most undervalued people in the live fire industry. And I have to say, I'm not in a position to disagree with that statement from John. I know there are those of you who go way back with this show, way back as far as I do in the live fire industry in general, and you know what Bob has accomplished in his career through the various aspects. But there is a new generation of live fire enthusiasts who probably has no idea who Bob is. You have no idea what he's done in the industry and what he has accomplished on the competition side of things and on the business side of things. It's just a name to you. So I will agree with John on this. Bob, a highly undervalued person in regards to this whole body of work in the industry. And from a show perspective, he has been associated with the Barbecue Central Show since day one, legitimately since day one. Call him on the phone. Do you want to be a guest? Yes. Do you want to be a sponsor? Yes. Not only from podcasting, but when we went live on the show, 2008, he was always a backer, always a participant, all the way back to Shotgun Fred Perkle, who originally founded the Barbecue Guru. So long-time association there. Bob, hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a great holiday season. Look forward to catching up in 2025. Don't forget you can subscribe to the Best Moments show by going to thebbqcentralshow.com/subscribe if you subscribe there. You also, for free, get subscribed to the Barbecue Central Show's podcast feed as well. So you get new alerts Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Friday. Don't forget, if you want to hear a past guest or segment that you think has been lost in the archives, email John, let him know you would like to hear John. That's Jon, John at thebbqcentralshow.com, and let him know what you would like to see or hear, and he'll do his best to make your dreams a reality. I do want to recognize the segment that I did with my daughter, Bobby Rempe, last week, and I got a ton of great emails, a lot of great reaction to that segment. Many of you appreciate her professional position. Many of you really appreciate the specific position she's in, that being a nurse in a level 1 trauma center in a major city, that being Pittsburgh, and what she has already seen only months on the job. I think we're going on 6 months at this point. I agree. I have been around 26 years longer than she has in life. And she has seen things in the past 6 months I have never seen in my life, most likely will never see in my life. It takes a real certain type of person to be able to do that job, to thrive in that environment, and be able to go home and be normal. Certainly people can absorb everything that she is seeing, taking it in, compartmentalizing, whatever you call it. I don't know how you go home and be normal after seeing somebody's intestines hanging out from being stabbed 12 times, or riding 100 miles on a motorcycle, 100 miles an hour on a motorcycle, and then slamming up against a garbage truck and seeing that. And these people are recovering like they're dead. So she's seen way more death than I have inside of 6 months. That's a really tough thing to be able to do. Now, will it wear on her over the years? Time will tell. But I can tell you this, she is a competitor. She likes to win. And those skills translate into this kind of person and having long-term success at these kind of jobs. Bottom line is this. As a father, I only care about her happiness. She's achieving her goals. She's doing what she wants to do. She's working where she wants to work. And she is happy. As long as she's happy, then I am too. If she's happy seeing large gauge bullet hole wounds where she works, and she's happy doing that job, then I am happy as well. Seeing what she is seeing, and she's doing well. Cream on the coffee for me, as my old Dutch boss used to say. So I do want to say this, Bobby, Mom, and I, super proud of you. By the way, it shouldn't even matter if Mom and I are proud of you or not. It's your life. You are living the life that you want to do, doing your thing, but we are proud of you to see how you have evolved over these last handful of years, getting through college, getting into the work scene, seeing what you're seeing. We're excited to see what the next years hold, without question. And thanks again for doing the segment last week. If you missed it, you got to go get it. It's the 10:35 segment, or the second interview portion of the second hour, or however you want to call it. Get a little whining in my ears. Must have it turned up a little bit. So seeing what she's seen and thriving the way she's thriving, very excited, very proud parent. But again, it doesn't matter if I'm happy or not. If she's happy, then I'm happy. That's all that matters. So if you missed that segment, go grab it. It's in the show last week. That would be the December 3rd segment at the 10:35 live in studio. She was home for a Cavs game, which they did win. That's right. So Cavs having a great season. Really love it. All right, let's go ahead and jump out here while we have some time. Get back on the clock, since we ran over a little bit from that first hour. Mike McLeod is in the green room. Through no fault of Mike's, as the gear just showed up today. It was supposed to be there yesterday. United States Postal Service But Mike is smart, so we're all hoping that he's done everything right to make sure that he sounds dynamite. I'm sure he will. Look, folks, it's the holiday season. That means we can look forward to Christmas lights, football games, listening to Sirius XM Holly on loop. And it's time again to dust off those old box of family recipes. There might be a few that you can still read. The fun is just beginning. This year, your friends at Franklin Barbecue are here to tell you that it doesn't just have to be chestnuts roasting on an open fire. You can be the luckiest person alive and listen to that beautiful crackle of post-oak heating in the firebox and a brand new Franklin Barbecue pit. From now through the end of the year, enjoy $250 off the price of an offset smoker designed by famed pitmaster Aaron Franklin, specifically for your backyard. You may know Aaron as being the award-winning restaurant owner in Austin from his best-selling cookbooks, maybe his masterclass series, his rock and roll band. But did you know that since 2020, he's been helping folks master the craft of barbecue all across the country on his heirloom quality Franklin BBQ pit? Yes, indeed he has. Designed and built to be second to none. The Franklin pit made with USA quarter-inch American-made steel. Every Franklin pit is a thing of beauty, unique unto itself with natural markings and its own badge number. Its masterful design and thickness. Steel guarantees professional-grade heat retention. Impeccable airflow, all must for making great barbecue. This holiday season, you can kickstart your barbecue journey by ordering your Franklin Barbecue Pit today. You can use family recipes and, of course, make those great holiday meals, but they'll never be the same. Please visit FranklinBBQPits.com to learn more, or you can visit FranklinBBQPits.com to buy online. You can see that list of Franklin certified dealers located across the country as well if you'd rather buy in person. Merry Christmas and happy holidays from your friends over at Franklin Barbecue Pits. FranklinBBQPits.com. You can buy right there. You can check out your local dealers, all the fun stuff. We're back with Mike McLeod right after this. Stick around. Be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
All right, welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by Pit Barrel Cooker, the most unbelievable outdoor cooking device on the planet. Currently available in 3 sizes with a host of accessories. Doesn't matter if you're a beginner or professional. Just a cooker you should be adding to your arsenal, especially this holiday season. Visit pitbarrelcooker.com and tell them the Barbecue Central Show sent you. Leading off the second hour tonight, the creator of World Food Championships. About a month ago, the 2024 World Food Championships took place, and it was done in a completely new location, that being Indianapolis, Indiana. Here for a recap, our friend, a newly minted 2024 Barbecue Central Show's guest Hall of Famer as well, Mike McLeod. Let me ask you the YouTube poll question of the week, since we're asking all guests. Have you ever been to the World Food Championships, Mike?
I think I have.
Yes.
Couple times.
11% of us are saying yes, we have been to the World Food Championships. 89% saying no. I mean, does that... It's a microcosm. Everybody's not a competitor, blah, blah, blah. Are you surprised by that delta, or is that run right about where you would think, given the audience?
Well, for your audience, I would expect there to be more, maybe 40 or 50%.
That's a pretty big... I always like to try and get my poll questions to that 40-50, so we're right at even Steven there. But I was a little surprised it was 89% no's, but that's where we're at tonight.
Too. Actually, that's a great opportunity for us, I think. I'm surprised, but happy to hear that.
Take it back to IMG and say, hey, we have statistical data from the number one barbecue and grilling podcast in all the land here that we have opportunity for improvement. In the final analysis, Mike, how was Indy as a host city?
I think Indy was phenomenal. We as far as a city and a community to come out and support food sport, to support World Food Championships, to support competitors in this arena. I think it was fantastic. We had more attendees on Saturday and Sunday than we have in the past 4 or 5 days of the competition. So from a city host perspective, it was exactly what we hoped it would be.
Attendees, is that equal to audience? Like people just coming in foot
Yes.
traffic? Wow.
Yes.
What are you benchmarking as successful attendees at any World Food Championships, and how has that ebbed and flowed over the years?
Well, I think most event promoters are always trying to get enough attendees to make the balance sheet work, number one. And then number two, you're trying to get volume in a way that you can share that with sponsors going forward as a reason to be at your event. So for those of us who've been in the business for a long time, what you also have to take into consideration is capacity. What is the capacity of the venue that you're at? And our venue in Indy probably was maxed out at about 5,000 people at any given time. And there were a couple of times on Saturday that we thought we were going to have a fire marshal issue because we were really close to that capacity. And over the course of about 8 hours of the event, it ebbed and flowed. So we can count a lot more than 5,000 because we know how many people came through the gate, and we know that people were leaving and people were coming in. There was a replacement strategy that allows your numbers to go beyond what the capacity was. But there were a couple of times that we really thought, oh, do we need to close the gates right now because we've got more people in here than the fire marshal wants. So for me, that's an awesome situation. I love the concept of saying, we're full, you can't come in, you can wait for an hour. We didn't quite have to pull that trigger, but we got close a couple of times.
Is this the most well attended from a foot traffic standpoint, World Food Championships?
I think it's the most attended event since Orange Beach. We really had great attendance in Orange Beach all 3 years that we were there. The problem for us at the time was that we were wanting to practically go global, and there was some limitations on how to get to Orange Beach. There was some perception issues, right or wrong, that we thought limited our attendance figures and our opportunities in Orange Beach. But the community of Orange Beach and Gulf Shores came out very strong for us. We always had anywhere from 6,000 to 8,000 people per day in Orange Beach, and for 3 days in a row, that's a good number. We happen to be a 5-day event, and it's hard to get that kind of attendance 5 days practically for the same thing over and over and over again, right? If you look at 3-day, 4-day concerts, the change situation in concerts is you have a different headliner every night. And that's why you draw a different crowd or a big crowd or the same crowd over and over again. In food sport, it's really not that situation because you're starting with opening rounds, same teams, and then some of those teams make the final rounds 3 or 4 days later. So in our world, getting 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 people a day for 2 or 3 days is phenomenal, just for food sport. Now, if you're a big super event that is investing a lot in concerts, and one night you have Hootie and the Blowfish, and the next night you have Foreigner, or maybe I'm dating myself, but you have certain acts. You can overcome that situation. But when you're trying to put food sport as the center of attention, the reason to come to this event is food and people who compete and prepare food. getting 6, 7, 8,000 people a day is a pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, I
event.
mean, and plus it's not Saturday and Sunday 5 days in a row, or Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for that matter. So 2 or 3 days of that is during the week. Typically, people have jobs, so if you're able to run that number through the business week, I think that's a hell of an accomplishment. And then, of course, you're going to see a spike on the weekend when people are off, and that's something they have marked on the calendar to do.
Yeah, Saturday, Sunday's always our best attended days, no matter where we are in Vegas, in Dallas, in Orange Beach. Same thing in Indianapolis. This past weekend or past event, we had Veterans Day weekend. And so Monday was a pretty heavy day for us for a typical Monday. But then we finish on Tuesday, right? So Tuesday is back to work, back to school, back to everything, and trying to get people to come out to a food event that they may have already seen Saturday or Sunday. That's a big ask, at least under our current format. Now, once we hit primetime TV, once people are trying to catch the next rising star, those things will possibly change. But at the moment, it's a big tall order to bring people out on a Tuesday or a Thursday to a food event.
Where are you sitting with TV coverage or some type of a series to help take you to the next level?
Pretty good. We're in final edits and feedback on a primetime show concept that should be launched in 2025. There was a lot of footage pulled from this past event in November, and we believe that that's going to be the B-roll or the background role of this new show. So we're very excited. There was a new article in Forbes.com today about us moving the pendulum some in the food sport industry, and how we're dealing with one of the major networks, one of the top 4 networks. It's not cable TV. And 2025 should be hopefully our breakout year.
Could one of the streaming services be a better platform for you, or could you get easily lost in all of the other options?
We believe that terrestrial TV is still the way to go, to introduce new people to our concept. Having the ability to dial up an episode whenever you want to is great, as long as people know what you are and who you are. And we're still trying to break through that clutter, right? We're still trying to tell people food sport is the new cool thing, and to do that, you've got to have massive eyeballs with, in our opinion, terrestrial TV. So we may end up with some streaming options and offshoots from the competition. I think there's particular parts of our event that become perfect streaming events, whether it's Firewoman, WFC Junior, Biscuits and Championship, etc. I think there are parts, Battle of the Branches, which we did as a partnership with MZHH. I think those things become great streaming options, but to really break through the clutter and become the American Ninja Warrior of TV, or to become the World Series of Poker of food, we have to break through with millions of eyeballs on regular live TV that people are catching on the big networks.
How many teams were at World Food Championships this year?
I don't know the exact number because it moves a little bit once we do audits and stuff, but it was over 300.
Most ever?
No. We've been tapering back for several years. In fact, for those who don't know, we started out with back in 2012 up to 50 teams per category. So if you just did simple math and looked at that, 50 times 12, you could have 600 teams at our event. We learned in Orange Beach that it was better for us to taper it back and start limiting the number of teams. We limited back then to 40, and then when we moved to Dallas, we limited to 20 teams per category. So right now, at full mast, if I'm trying to guess at what team count we should have, it'd be about 350. And I think we had about 315, 320 teams in Indianapolis.
Any judging issues or team complaints that eventually make their way up to you that you have to handle, or does that stay squelched?
Is this a loaded question?
No.
First of all, you can't throw an event, a barbecue-centric event in America on a weekend and not have some complaints, number one. We did have a drop ball in our barbecue arena this year, and I got pulled into it once I understood what happened, and we had to make some adjustments on the fly. I think we adjusted for it pretty well on the second day, and made it possible, made it fair for teams who felt like that they weren't treated appropriately. We made amends pretty quickly, and I think if you took an honest survey of the teams involved, first of all, it was a barbecue centric thing, which might be near and dear to your heart. It was one of those things where a person, it wasn't a score system. It was a personnel issue, is a personnel decision-making process that wasn't appropriately adjudicated. And once I found out about it, I got pulled in, and Saturday morning is the first thing I had to deal with. So Friday, we basically, what I have said for years, and I think you will recall this, is we're trying to elevate barbecue in a way that no one else has. We're trying to make barbecue special. Right, we do this silver platter process. We do this, recipe process and this execution process that allows you to tell our judges what you've made. So whether it's mango habanero ribs, or it's slow cooked Texas ribs, it's up to you to tell us what it is, and our judges judge that appropriately. So once I had found out that we dropped a ball on that front, we made amends, and we gave everybody basically a second chance at the situation, and then we ran the tournament over. As I mentioned to all the teams there Saturday morning, I said basically what happened Friday is we ran a regular barbecue contest. We didn't run an elevated barbecue contest, and now we're gonna reconfigure, and Saturday's going to be an elevated barbecue contest come hell or high water. So that's what we did, and we ended up getting our finals in good shape, and we put a few more teams in our finals than we wanted to, but it was the right thing to do in the heat of the moment, and I think it was the best solution for a drop ball in the moment.
Of the 12 category champions, does one stand out to you as really blowing your mind with what they were able to do?
That's like asking someone, what's your favorite child?
Yes, but I mean, do you want me to ask you easy questions, Mike? I mean, you can do your own World Food Championship podcast for easy questions. I mean, who's blowing your mind out there? I
am consistently blown away really by dark horses. And what I mean by that is teams that come in to the system for the first time from somewhere I've never seen or someone I've never heard of, and they execute a dish within the parameters that we've established, whether it's rice, noodles, vegetarian, burger, dessert, etc. I'm always kind of blown away by the people who end up in the top 5 teams, top 10 teams that I've never heard of. It's kind of hard after 15, 20 years of being in this industry to really be blown away by a particular category. It's usually just being surprised by who's accomplishing an incredible dish in a category. I will say that vegetarian, which I think the first 9 years out of my 12 years of doing this, I was always against vegetarian. I'm like, why would anyone care about doing a vegetarian dish? So I'm always kind of surprised right now to see what's coming out of vegetarian, and how amazing the dishes look and how creative the chefs are, and how delicious some of the food is. Right, so that's a big surprise to me. And of course, in barbecue, I keep a close eye on barbecue because that's where I cut my teeth before we started World Food Championships. And I just love seeing the barbecue platters that come in for the finals, because the teams are getting it. They're allowed to design a dish that we're not telling them has to have parsley or kale or greenery, whatever, that you do or do not have to have it. You just have to impress us. Tell us what you're making. And I think what the barbecue teams are showing is that when they are allowed to spread their wings, they can make anything. And sometimes, a smoked dessert ends up on the barbecue finals. And it always blows me away. It's always impressive to me. And then I think this year we had Cornish hens that we were integrating on behalf of Tyson. And to see what they were able to do with those Cornish hens was just delicious looking. You eat with your eyes first. And when I looked at a couple of those dishes, I was like, oh my gosh, give me an apron, give me a bib, and give me a pillow. I just want to go spend some time with this dish and just take a nap. So it's hard. I know I'm not answering your question exactly the way you want, but that's what I see and what I experience every championship.
Mike, last question before I let you go. Appreciate the time as always. Final table dates, have they been set for Bentonville yet?
Yes. March 27th through the 30th, we'll be in Bentonville. We will be doing the same 3 culinary challenges as we have before. That eliminates the field a half and a half and a half. We go from 12 contestants down to 6, from 6 to 3 and 3 to 1. The winner will take away $150,000. We're going to do some retail challenges this year. We always try to localize our challenges in the final table so that we find the best cook. It's not about finding the best dish necessarily. It's about finding the best cook who has a variety and an ability to navigate 3 localized specific challenges. So one of those may be a go-to-market retail strategy or a stop-and-go kind of strategy. We're trying to get a little bit more retail-centric with the output of our championship, so that we can bring some other brands and retail outlets into the mix.
Mike,
by the way,
yeah.
Do I get bonus points for wearing this thing?
Oh, look at this thing! Wow, look at that! Now that is a Hall of Famer's ring right there. I'm sure you just wear it casually down the street, right? I mean, it looks
I do
so comfortable
every other day.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate
it only
you.
weighs 3 pounds.
Yeah, I appreciate you wearing it tonight. I appreciate all the time you spent with the show that has finally garnered you that due honor of getting into the Guest Hall of Fame. And it sounds like the 2024 version of World Food Championships a success, as it has been for the last, going on 13 years here or whatever it is. So who would have thought all the way back then that we would be talking about it still here as we broach into 2025. But appreciate the breakdown, and we'll look forward to next year as we get going.
Always a good time. Let me know when we can do it again.
All right. Appreciate it, Mike. Like the cloud right there. World Food Championships and a Barbecue Central Show's Guest Hall of Famer, as he was happy to show off right there at the end. All right, let's do a quick piece of business. I see you guys in the instant chat clamoring for Austin Dennis. He's up next. Stand by. Hey, this holiday season, give the gift that will light up everybody's backyard. Big Papa Smokers has everything the barbecue lover in your life needs, from award-winning rubs, sauces, to top-of-the-line grills and smokers. Big Papa Smokers is your flavor foundation with Pitmaster favorites like Sweet Money, Little Louie's Seasoned Salt, Cash Cow, Desert Gold, Happy Ending, many more, and they're all great. Plus, For a limited time, use promo code REMPY15 at checkout for 15% off your entire purchase now through December 24th. So you got 2 weeks to the day. Exclusions apply. Visit BigPapaSmokers.com for details. Remember, your food just got better with Big Papa Smokers. Use promo code REMPY15, that's REMPE15 at checkout to get 15% off your entire purchase. We are back with Austin Dennis. I cook, you look. Right after this, stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Greg Rempe.
And we thank Mike McLeod for joining us last segment. WorldFoodChampionships.com is the place to go to check out the latest and greatest with the World Food Championships. Looking forward to seeing what 2025 brings. Helping me close the show tonight, one of the hottest Instagram live fire cooks out there today. Over 270,000 of you agree and are following him for great food and drink recipes. Tonight we learned about him, what he likes to cook on, and what holiday suggestions he might have. We race to the hotline and welcome in first-time guest Austin Dennis to the show. Austin, appreciate you making time here this evening. We have a YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody, including all guests, which is this: have you ever been to the World Food Championships? Yes or no?
I have never been to the World Food Championships.
All right, so you are part of that 90% that have never been to the World Food Championships, which means 10% of the folks have. I have not been part of the World Food Championships yet, but they're very close over in Indianapolis. That's like, let's say, 5-hour drive for me, but the day job called me away from this past month or last month's 2024 version, but we'll look at 2025. Quick background, first time on the show, so quick background on you personally, professionally, where you're headquartered, then we'll dig into the live fire from there.
Yep, located right outside of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I've been cooking all my life. Moved down here from Alabama in 2013. Worked in the oil and gas field for a while. Always liked to cook. Did a couple of events for tornadoes and stuff, things that hit my hometown and different events, just, volunteer events. And I told my wife, I remember about 2 years ago, I said, I want to share my experiences on social media. And she kind of looked at me with big eyes like, what are you talking about? And just kind of been going with it. And it all kind of just worked itself out. But it wasn't easy, to say the least. But we've been just riding the wave. Just do what you can, evolve with the trends, learn from who you can, find some good networks, find some good people, and figure it out.
I had Rochelle Reed on the show last week, and I asked her kind of a stereotypical question. Maybe the people from the North aren't necessarily known to have a steeped cooking tradition. And I said, is it bad or wrong of me to think that people from the South at a young age are drug into the kitchen and mom or grandma or both are saying, Austin, you're going to learn this recipe and this one's a secret, never tell anybody. Is that more reality or is that more fiction?
I think everybody's experience is unique, but I think for me, my dad was always outside grilling. That's what he gravitated to. So I was by the grill, and I listened to the episode last week with Shell, and she was talking about people that would make like those gallon drum smokers on the side of the road you buy for like $250, and it lasts for about 2 years. Nobody ever covers them. They're covered in rust. They rot out, and then you buy another one for $250 or whatever the case is. And I was always outside with my dad grilling. My mom could cook, but I was a grill guy, and I've just kind of evolved as I've learned cooking over the years. And being from Alabama, learning barbecue, long smokes on an offset smoker, whatever the case is. And then you move to Louisiana, and then you're kind of baptized by fire because they don't care about barbecue. So the people that really enjoy like the versatility of cooking, you can teach them what you know, and then they teach you what they know about cooking. So it's been cool to kind of learn. And kind of a sense of camaraderie for the people that are, kind of the crazy cooks out there like us.
So you mentioned Alabama. Of course, Big Bob Gibson jumps to mind. Dreamland jumps to mind, just to name a few or two of the ones that most people would probably know if they're into any type of barbecue scene. But then you go to Louisiana. You say nobody cares. I mean, is there a style of barbecue in Louisiana, or is it just not in existence?
I wouldn't say there's not a style. There are some good barbecue restaurants, but it's very few and far between. Like any mom and pop in Alabama you pop into, it looks like it's run down and it's probably not open. It's probably the best barbecue you'll ever eat in your life. In Louisiana, it's more like 2 out of 10 are going to be good. And that's cool. Like that's their niche, and that's not what their claim to fame is. It's just really it's cool culturally to see the difference. And I mean, Alabama's only about a 5-hour drive away. When I go home to visit my family, it's not that long of a drive, but it is like going into another country when you come to Louisiana.
You talk about the side of the road cookers. What are you cooking on in the backyard? What would I find in your house right now?
If ideally I was cooking on a Saturday, I'm getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, throwing on a 14-pound packer brisket, and we're going to cook it as long as we can. Build the bark, it's a process. You got to have a couple of beers while you're doing it, or you're not really barbecuing. But I have adapted since learning from different people that I've learned the Cajun side of cooking from down here. I have a lot of fun cooking the Cajun side of the dishes that I've learned too. So I try to be versatile, but ideally I gravitate more towards the barbecue side for sure.
What kind of cookers do you have out back?
Oh man, we've got an offset. We've got a couple of pellet grills, the Weber kettle, gas grill, griddles. Got 5 or 6 in the garage that I pull out when the brand says they need me to do a video. So I told my wife, I said, look, we're just not going to have a 2-car garage anymore. We're just going to put grills in there because these brands send a grill to you and they tell you to do a video or two. And then she's like, well, just give it to your buddy. And I'm like, I can't give it to my buddy because if they call back in 3 months, I want to pay me to do another video. So there's a lot more grills than she's happy with, but it's just she's learned to accept it. It's part of it.
Is there one of those that you're particularly partial to from a brand aspect?
I think I wouldn't say necessarily from like just the brand, the way they've handled me, but I always used for a pellet grill. I've always used Pit Boss before I ever got into social media, even dating back to like 2019. Really good cooker. If you put Traeger and Pit Boss side by side, I feel like they're built the same. I just think Pit Boss has the feature of being able to have the ability to sear a steak. They have that little removable grate that adds a lot of value, and their price point's cheaper. Love Traeger, done some videos for Traeger too. But if I had to pick a pellet cooker, I think Pit Boss is the cream of the crop as far as I'm concerned.
What about like a steak cooker? What do you think is great?
You can't go wrong with a Schwank. And I've heard people tell me like, man, that's expensive. And if you've ever cooked on a Schwank, you'll understand 1,500 degrees and that grill. Look, if you're gonna have a grill at that price point, at least it's built all stainless. I can tell you this, that grill is going to outlive me. That grill is heavy duty. And, honestly, I have all these grills and I can get it close, but cooking at 1,500 degrees and the way it renders a steak down, you really can't beat it.
I can't even sit here and tell you that I can get close to 1,500 degrees. I have a Sam's Club Pro Series member mark all the way up. That thing's maybe touching 650 to 7. I got a Primo XL ceramic that's probably cresting, maybe 800 to 900 degrees at its best if I really got the airflow going and a good lump charcoal. But that's still 600 degrees off of where that Schwank grill is getting at. Do you ever have an issue with it cooking too fast, or are you really a user of the different levels to regulate that heat intensity? What's the best way to manage it?
So it's got 7 levels. So depending on the thickness of the steak, I'll kind of take it up about to level 2. I'll let it get a good kiss sear, kind of see what it looks like. And I'm a firm believer in a temperature probe. There's a lot of people out there. We call them, no offense, but the boomers. They all want to, test their steak with all these methods that don't.
What do you mean, no offense? I'm not a boomer.
Look,
I'm Gen X.
Well, hey,
I'm
you
Gen
said
X. My dad's a boomer.
Yeah. Look, the best chefs in the world use temperature probes. So I think, taking time, and the good thing about the schwank is you can take it all the way down to the bottom level. And if you're worried about burning it, just check it. If it's 110 and you want to go to 127, the one thing I will say about schwank grills is if you want to go to like medium rare or medium, it's cooking so hot that the carryover temp is going to be a lot higher than a typical grill would be. So if you want to go to 127, I would probably pull that thing down to the bottom level at like 120, because if you don't, you might be getting a medium steak.
What's something out of the box that you cook on the schwank? Something we wouldn't think of.
I mean, we've done pizzas. We've done chicken. I mean, if you want blackened chicken, we've tenderized chicken breast, throw some blackened and season on there. It doesn't take very long, but it's really good.
When do you realize Instagram is a hit?
When do I?
Yeah.
This sounds like a trivial answer, but I really, the first viral video I had, it wasn't really necessarily like something to make me feel like I made it. It was more of like, if I keep doing this, maybe maybe something can happen. So, and that almost never dies. I've seen people that had a couple of million followers during COVID and they've fallen off so hard, but a lot of people don't want to evolve. And when I say evolving, I don't mean like not being yourself and not being organically you. It's more of, this isn't the type of content people want to see. Don't change you, but change maybe your MO, like change a couple of things and see if that kind of fits what the audience is wanting. And a lot of people have failed at that. And I hope to God that's not me one day, but it's tough. It's a lot tougher than people think.
Is this the full-time gig for you?
It is.
Wow. So how are you inspired to continue to create new content? Maybe it's a double question here, because as you had mentioned, there's been plenty of folks through the COVID years, especially. We can attribute some of that to just having a lot more time than you would normally have. You get done with work, you're already home. I'm going to fire up the camera, or I'm going to start a podcast. And a lot of those people have fallen off, as you said, but they weren't really in it for the long term. They were bored. They got into it. Maybe they saw some success, but then when things turned around, they didn't really care if they were continuing to stick with it or not. You appear to be on a different level in that regard. So how are you staying motivated to continue to bring that new content?
It's a grind. There's definitely a time where you need to take a break. It's usually about 2 or 3 months in. If you post 5 or 6 videos a week, after a couple months, you'll experience a little bit of a burnout. So you just have to diagnose it when it happens, and you have to go in for an oil change, maybe take 2 or 3 days off, rotate the tires and get inspired again. And sometimes it might take 4 days, but eventually you get in the groove of understanding that, I want to put out 5 or 6 videos a week. I want to stay consistent. I want to keep growing my platforms. But at the same time, like anything else, you've got to take a break.
Can you not just focus on one anymore? Do you have to go across?
Yeah, I mean, you're making the content anyway. So the way I do things is it kind of would fit. The only thing that I might not be able to post on is YouTube Shorts, just because it's limited to 60 seconds. But everything else, I mean, my typical content is between a minute and a minute and a half. So that's good for Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. So you're already making the content. So you're good for all those platforms. But TikTok was my baby. That was where I started. That's where my biggest following is now. And not to get into the TikTok ban, because who even knows what's going to happen with that. But I told people from the beginning, back before I knew that this is potentially going to happen, I said, you better grow your other platforms. And I know people that have 3 million followers on TikTok and they have 10,000 followers on Instagram. And I feel bad for them, but I mean, this has been in the works for a while. So you've got to protect yourself. It's just like anything else when you're investing. You better diversify, because you can't just rely on one.
How do you make money at TikTok? Is it through views? Are you just doing partnership and you're getting money through brands? How does that work?
It's a little bit of both. if you're in the creator fund, if you post over a minute long, you get qualified views. And those qualified views, there's some fine print, but it's got to be over like 4 seconds. And it depends on how long people watch the video, and you get paid off of that. Something that I don't stick to is trying to make content a minute so I can get paid on TikTok, because I find that TikTok does have something built within the algorithm that doesn't necessarily allow you to make the money that you would think that you could make. You'll hit one every now and then. But my thing is, make the content, edit it, however it ends up, post it, and you're marketing yourself for brands. And my 80% of my revenue is brand stuff. I got my seasonings out. They've been out for about 5 months. We're on Amazon. We're on my website. We're on Amazon Prime now. That's the long-term goal, is the seasoning. But for right now, it's just represent brands really well. Don't just take the check and think that you can just go post something and hope that they like it. Really dig deep and make them proud. And remember that content's out there forever, and other brands are going to see it. And you have to take it very seriously if you want to keep doing this.
Who does your rubs?
Texas Custom Spice in Katy, Texas.
Were they good with you starting out? Did you have to do some huge initial order, or were they pretty sensitive to the smaller guy?
No, I'm an open book. I remember talking to somebody and they said, if I wanted to come up with a recipe like you did for a rub, what would I do? Like, how much would it cost? And I said, between making labels, and this isn't counting labor, because if you count labor in running a business, you're never going to feel like you made any money.
Yeah.
But I would say about $4,000 and a little bit of time and effort, and you could have a bottle with the label, nutritional facts, ready to go to market. But that's just the beginning. Anybody can do that. Then you got to pick up the phone and start calling people, and that's when the real work starts.
No YouTube channel?
I do have a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
It's so funny with that. If I had a video on TikTok or Instagram that had 4 million views, YouTube may get 5,000 views. So I try to post over there anytime I'm under a minute. But 2025, there's a lot of big things that we're trying to work out the kinks of. I've been doing this for February, it'll be 2 years. So I'm really trying to make a kind of a goal for 2025. Like, what are the things that we're not taking advantage of? And YouTube's definitely up there at the top of that list.
You do any competitions or team up with other teams to go cook when you can on the weekend, or that's not your deal?
That's not my deal. Like Malcolm, been in his affiliate program for a little over a year. Him and Shell invited me up in March. They treated us like kings and queens. I think it was 10 of us. And I think she touched on that when I listened to y'all's episode from last week, man. And they're great people. And when she says like that's the thing that they're trying to do now, she really means it. And they showed us a really good time. Had some one-on-one time with both of them. And they're an open book, man. They're not just, I'm successful, good luck. It's more like, hey, you promote my seasonings and my products, and I'd love for you to be successful too. And they've been a huge catalyst for me to not have to go through 10 people and figure it out the hard way on what to do next with my seasoning. So shout out to Malcolm Reed and his crew, man, especially him and Shell, man. They've been instrumental for me to get to this point with my seasoning.
Best holiday gifts that you are recommending this holiday season when asked?
Well, besides going to iCookYouLook.com and get my seasoning combo pack, I would definitely say go to good meat probes are always great, just because people think that that's so unnecessary and they think they could just figure it out. That's not true. Really, a grill. I mean, everybody whose husband doesn't want a grill,
right?
Any kind of grilling utensil. It doesn't have to be a huge expense. Go get the new tong and meat glove and apron set from whoever or whatever. And I think any bundle that you can get from any seasoning company, any guy is going to be like, oh, this is cool. I can't wait to like cook with this. I've never tried this.
Your go-to Christmas protein?
Prime rib every year.
You have a quick down and dirty on how you do it?
Yeah, we usually French the bones. We usually get it's usually about a 7-pound prime ribeye roast. Sometimes we'll do dry aged, but trim the silver skin off, season it up good, whatever your favorite all-purpose rub is, a little bit of extra pepper for bark. We'll make a horseradish sauce, but we don't really go crazy with the butter that people smear all over the prime rib. And then cook it to medium rare and usually 220. And then get a good sear on it at the end. Let it rest for about 15 or 20 minutes, and it always comes out good. So if anybody out there has never tried prime rib, it's probably one of the easiest things to cook. It's just intimidating because you're cooking a $200 steak, basically.
Best holiday cocktail?
Oh, I would probably an old-fashioned.
All right, how do you make it?
I have to go with an old-fashioned.
What's your recipe?
Old-fashioned is, I mean, to me, it's simple. It's just a little bourbon, a little bitters, a little orange. And if you got too much of any or not enough of something, just add a little bit and you're good.
No muddling fruit or anything weird like that, or club soda on the top? Nonsense?
No way. Not with an old-fashioned.
Yeah. What bourbon do you like?
I'm an Eagle Rare guy, Woodford Reserve. Well, I mean,
you can't
Eagle
Rare down there? I can't. You can't find it up here.
Yeah, you sadly act like we're in Antarctica, but yeah, you can get it online for sure. But there's a couple of places you can get it for sure.
Anything else you're promoting as we broach into 2025 here? You can mention here before we call it quits.
iCookYouLook.com. We've got merch. All my affiliates are on there. If anybody wants to go find Malcolm Reed, Heath Riles, any of those guys I promote, it's all on there. Amazon Prime, we're on there. So, yeah, for sure.
Austin Dennis is right here. I Cook You Look. Am I saying that wrong?
iCookYouLook.
iCookYouLook.com. All right. I questioned myself. How dare I? iCookYouLook.com. Over on Instagram, Austin D4188. And of course, you can find him over on TikTok as well. Austin, really appreciate the dive in here this evening, getting to know you a little bit, how you like to cook, this and that. And I would love to have you back on again at some point here in 2025.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Love to come back on again, man. I appreciate it.
Look forward to it. It's Austin Dennis right there. Or we can go to that shot. That's fine. iCookYouLook.com, his website, and then you can link all the different places right there, and we can forego any of this other stuff because I've already caught up. So let's just do this. Here we go. No, of course not. How would that work? Here we go. Hopefully you enjoyed that. By the way, I'm remembering right now, 91% of you are saying no, you have never been to the World Food Championships. I have to say, I'm shocked. My audience, over 90% of you have never been? Wow. That's a pretty good amount of votes. All the way back in the first hour, an hour with Meathead talking about all things related to book writing, if you're interested. Second hour, Mike McLeod talked about the World Food Championships 2024 edition in Indianapolis, Indiana, one of my favorite destinations across the nation. And then closing it out tonight with Austin Dennis from iCookYouLook.com. Go to his socials from there. He's got rubs. He's being sponsored by some folks as well, so check him out there on his website. Big show planned for you next week. By the way, it's the last live show of 2024, leading off that first hour. Barbecue entertainer and superstar Jack Arnold will be here on the show, so look forward to that. So, how do I always leave you? September 11th. 2001. I will never forget until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. This is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe, saying, Shalom! Shalom!
Hey, what's up? This is JM, host of the Celebrity Grill podcast on iTunes. And you're listening to the Barbecue Central Radio Network. All barbecue and grilling, all the time.